Kitchen design combines functionality, aesthetics, and your personal preferences to create a beautiful and functional space to deliver sustenance to your family. It doesn't always work that way. There's three things you want to think about, and that's your layout, your storage, and your finishes. I've been designing this kitchen in my head over and over on paper, on the computer, in my sleep, till I'm blue in the face, and I could not get it right. What I got back from the engineer is pretty close to the final plans, and so I need to be done, and I need to be sure that the kitchen design is what I want, and it's not. The original kitchen really does not function. From the 90s, from the 70s, I don't know which remodel we're up to. So here's the existing kitchen. You can see we've got double sink, a range, and then we've got the fridge, which the fridge is actually over here. So there is a little bit of landing space in between, and there's uppers here, which are horrific to open because these doors smack into the oven on both sides to the hood. So now that is our layout, and you can see from the fridge to the sink is a long walk, and I've got to go past the stove. Not an ideal triangle if you look at that. This triangle does not make a geometry teacher happy. It's too long a leg from the fridge to the sink. Now, a couple other problems with this kitchen, aside from the fact that it's ugly, are these two corner cabinets over here. So these essentially give me two dead spaces of no storage right now because they are blind corners. You've got to get in there to see. There's no pullouts. It's just dead space. The pantry is way over here, and it's got this tiny little 15-inch cabinet beside it with a countertop to land stuff. It's tiny. By the time you put a couple of pieces of mail, there's no room to do anything there. It's also very deep. It's 24 plus deep. These corners are really hard to see, and I'm sure there's stuff in there that's rotting. I redesigned the kitchen in a video where I did two alternatives with an island and a peninsula, and the votes were in and the island won, as I expected. So I drew it up with an island, and the kitchen and the layout was okay. It's enough to get through permitting. It's a decent layout. But when I started to really look at it and think about how I was going to function in that kitchen, making videos and thinking about how you should function in your kitchen, I started to look at my layout, and it really sucked. There's three things you want to think about, and that's your layout, your storage, and your finishes. The layout is mediocre at best. The storage is even worse. And the finishes, I haven't even begun to choose. Now, as to the finishes in this kitchen, pickled oak, anyone? Laminate countertops? Now, I'm going to go on a little tangent here about the countertops. They're laminate. They're hideous. I exert the least amount of effort to maintain them. I use the most harsh chemicals. I scrub them. I cut on them, and they have held up. This laminate is indestructible. So if you're thinking about using a man-made material for your countertop, quartz, half the price, twice the durability. So when you're working on your plans, draw it, redraw it, get tracing paper, go over it and over it and over it. Rome wasn't built in a day, and your kitchen shouldn't be either. Think about where all of the pots and pans are. Get familiar with all that stuff way in the back of the cabinets. Pull it out and see what you've got. Think about how you live, and then you can better choose cabinetry that's going to suit your kitchen. In this kitchen, I was debating between a peninsula and an island. You can also do a galley-style kitchen, an L-shaped kitchen, U-shaped kitchen, a G-shaped kitchen. So all of them are different layouts, depending on the layout of your house, the space you're allotted, what you can play with. If you'd like to see how I drew up the plan with a peninsula and an island and the comparison, you can go watch the video. I'll link it somewhere. While this kitchen triangle meets the layout standards for the kitchen triangle, it doesn't really work. So we're going to have to fix that in the new layout. Storage in this kitchen is the strike 3. You're out. The uppers were too wide with doors too big that hit you in the face when you're standing there. 15-inch door is going to hit you in the face. You don't want uppers that are wider than 24 inches unless they're above your head, like over a fridge, because otherwise you're going to have to step back to open them. Storage is the biggest concern in this kitchen. There's no room for a pantry. There's very little room for uppers. I've got half the stuff in the pool house and the other stuff in boxes. So I don't even know what I have at this point. I need to go through and pull out all of my pots and pans and dishes and plates, see what I'm going to keep from moving 2.5 years ago, see what I'm going to throw away, see what I need to replace, see what's not going to match my new kitchen. Go shopping. But I need to figure out what I own and where I want to store it, what I buy and how I want to store it. What are the things in my kitchen I need to keep and how do I want to access them? So when I'm standing at the sink, I know I want to improve how I put away glasses from the dishwasher, how I don't get hit in the face with a door. You can see this is the demolition plan. So these are the walls that we intend to remove and cabinetry. There's a couple of things that they missed, so I sent them some notes. And this is what I got back. So you can see the new layout of the kitchen. And we've got a nice big island. It's going to be a small eat-in kitchen here, dining room out here. The island creates a landing space, so the triangle is improved from the refrigerator to the stove. Now, while the layout is improved, there are a couple of problems that still remain. What we've created is a giant great room, and what that does for me is make me crazy. It also takes away some wall space, so I don't have any room for a pantry. And all of these uppers that it's showing on here, you see these dashed lines here that represents uppers, I'm not doing all those. So I need some more storage. And storage underneath the island, I'm gonna have a cabinet here, one over here, one opening this way. Seating is all lower storage. So when you're thinking about storage, think about drawers versus doors, because in base cabinets, you can't see way in the back. You want stuff that pulls out. Think about pantries, wherever you can fit them in, whether it's a wall pantry. I did a video on pantries. You can go and watch it, see how much space you actually need. And it's a lot less than you think in order to fit some storage in tight spaces. When you're putting uppers in, think about what is the stuff that you're going to keep in uppers. Like I know I don't want to keep any food in there. It's too deep for a box of pancakes or maple syrup. I've got pancakes on the brain. So in my uppers, I really want to limit them to glassware and things that will break that I can't put in drawers, some spices and that kind of stuff, and that's it. Everything else I want in drawers that can pull out. I want things that are easier to access. That's what you want to think about. When you get a door and a 24-inch deep cabinet, you've got to reach way down in there to access what's in there. When space is tight, you got to maximize the vertical space. So I'm taking the cabinets to the ceiling, killing that dreaded soffit, making use of every inch of vertical space. Above the fridge, I'm going to put vertical storage, so trays, platters, cutting boards, cookie sheets, 36 inches of vertical storage that's not stacked up on top of each other. So when I want to pull out the bottom cookie sheet, I don't have to take everything out of a drawer. It's a great way to store all of that stuff. You get a huge amount of storage that way. The other problem with this space is it's a giant open concept space. And that's lovely for some people. But as I preach, you gotta know yourself. And I know that I can't stand open concept. So on to revision number 3, which is not bad when you're dealing with architects and engineers. Don't be afraid to mark it up. Make sure they see. Make a note. Make it obvious. So you can see this is what I sent back with some of my changes. Sometimes I have 3 and 4 pages of notes for architects and engineers. This is from a good engineer. And look at all these changes. Look at all these windows that were missed. Look at all the things. So make sure you speak your mind. And this is what we came up with. So I had an epiphany last night, and I figured out a way to tweak the layout so that I improve the kitchen triangle, I improve the storage, and I can start to think about those finishes. So let's get to it. A couple of things I want to do. First of all, I want to cut back the wall here. So you see this wall here, I'm going to cut that back to about here. So my fridge is going to sit, maybe a little bit more. Well, right about there. My fridge is going to be there. Stove, sink. So this gets a little bit closer than it was. And that gives me the ability to do a nice skinny floor-to-ceiling pantry right there and be able to see everything, all my dry goods, garbage pails, dog food, bowls, all of that kind of stuff right in here. It also gives me much needed privacy from the Yankee game in here. I want to change all of the finishes in this kitchen. I mean, pickled oak, laminate countertops, and a limestone floor with a floral border of tulips on a soffit. It's a nightmare that I live with daily. So if you're sitting at home thinking, oh, these designers with all their fabulous homes, know that I feel your pain. This kitchen is severely lacking in any kind of updated finishes. So we need to think about what are the cabinet colors, what kind of flooring is going in there, what countertop material, backsplashes, handles and knobs, that's the jewelry, that and your lighting fixtures. You also want to think about the recessed lighting, the under cabinet lighting. What else do we have to think about? Buying appliances, that should be first. Appliances first, so you have those specs. Kitchen cabinets next. Do them quick because 8 to 12 weeks is a standard. That is if you're lucky, get ordering. Oh, I forgot about plumbing, your sink and your faucet. That's your last piece of jewelry in the kitchen. And when you're looking at faucets and knobs and lighting fixtures, you can mix metals. Think about those fixtures as jewelry. You're probably going to have stainless somewhere showing in your kitchen because of your oven or your stove, your oven, your cooktop, your refrigerator, or your dishwasher. People generally look at a faucet like an appliance, like your refrigerator or your dish front. They're not going to pay attention to the fact that the handles are a different color. So I wouldn't agonize over metals in the kitchen. When it comes to countertops, I always like to think about durability first. I don't care what it looks like if it's going to stain or chip. So I love Mother Nature. Granite, porcelain, soapstone. If I were going to get something inexpensive, it would be laminate and not quartz. Quartz has got all kinds of legal problems and staining problems and burning problems. From personal experience, quartz does not hold up to 2 teenage girls. You want a lighting plan that's appropriate. And by that, I mean not a grid. You want your recessed lights and your hanging fixtures where you need them. So place them where you do tasks. Don't worry about symmetry. Worry about lighting the tasks you're doing, highlighting those beautiful fixtures and finishes that you've chosen all around the room. The first thing I want to think about when it comes to the flooring is durability and comfort. We have tile all throughout the house. It is cold with Florida air conditioning. It is hard on your feet. We're going to do LVP. We're on a slab. We don't really have a choice with hardwood. I don't want to add tile again. And engineered flooring, as much as people out there will tell you on a slab, it will be fine. It won't be fine. This is a tough one. This is your backsplash, and this is going to be the hardest thing for me. It's too hard. It sets the tone. It can change the ambiance. It can add a pop of color, or it can just go away. So I haven't decided whether I'm just going to run the countertop up or start looking for tile. Not my favorite thing to do. I can choose it all day long for you, but for me, I lived 20 years in a house without a backsplash. I did just fine. You want to choose wisely because we agonize over the countertop, but the backsplash is what hits you in the face when you're looking at the kitchen. Think about the look you want. It is going to set the tone, add ambience, be a pop of color, or go away. You decide what you want it to do. Committing to tile is a tough one. So we'll see how that goes. Everything else, I pretty much know the colors. That one, Remember to enjoy the process. Most people don't get to design a new kitchen for themselves. You get to choose exactly, or at least close to what you really want in the space. Be grateful. Enjoy the process. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.